Big Sky Country beckons, and the Disc Golf Pro Tour could not bypass the opportunity to come to Missoula, Blue Mountain, the 2023 Zootown Open, presented by Inc. Realty Group and driven by Innova. Welcome to Friday on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Grant Zellner alongside Brian Earhart. We saw some fantastic golf this morning in a beautiful piece of countryside. More to come. No better way, Brian, to spend your Friday afternoon.
Well, this is just such a welcome break from the normal grind of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. The MPO division is playing an 8,100-foot par 59, and this is just not something we get to see too often on the tour, and this is destination disc golf right here. A lot of the veteran players have played this tournament even when it was an A or a B tier event, because it used to be a USDGC qualifier, even not on the tour. And it's just a wonderful place to play disc golf. There's such good variety in shots. You're throwing these scenic top-of-the-world shots 2 or 3 times out here, and just really memorable throws that you get to make out here. So I have very fond memories playing this course in 2018 and 2019 when I was on the tour.
Experiencing nature in its fullest and all of its glory here in Montana. Fantastic stuff. Lots and lots of players here taking advantage of the opportunity to enjoy some disc golf in a beautiful setting, including last week's victor, Adam Hammes, not taking the week off, coming straight to Montana and ready to showcase his skills yet again last week in Portland. What a delight watching him compete.
Well, again, we're playing Glendoveer last week, Elite Plus event, 4 rounds, and he showcased the fact that he's an elite athlete now, mentally and physically. I mean, you look at him go out of bounds, he thinks the tournament's over, but then he steps up to the Circle 2 look to force the playoff. And it was such an electric moment to watch. There were 2,000 to 3,000 people watching. He throws an absolute bomb of a drive in the playoff hole against Eric Gossage. And just, I don't know, there's just an X factor to Adam Hammes. When he is on and he's focused and the elements are right, he is better than everybody. And he just proved that here. Glendoveer is a course that the players are starting to get used to on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. These hybrid golf, disc golf courses that are long, artificial out of bounds. And really, I'm not surprised Adam came here to Montana. This is kind of a vacation tournament. I'm not saying that the course is soft by any means, but there's not a lot of artificial out of bounds. There's a lot of par 3s. There's a lot of wooded shots. And Adam last week mentioned Sandy Point in Wisconsin. He missed the team challenge last week. That kind of short wooded golf is the style that he loves the most. So I think he's going to have a great week out here.
Current point standings on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Adam Hammes vaulting his way into the top 10 thanks to just that one single victory every single week on tour, providing opportunities for big movement up and down the leaderboard. Adam Hammes, and they're also in 10th, vaulting up into the top 10, Aaron Gossage, both evidence of the way every week is a chance to make a move.
Aaron also surprised us last week. I mean, maybe not surprised us, but I think maybe fortified the fact that he is an elite player in this game. I mean, last year when he battled with Paul at the World Championships, I think people were wondering, is Aaron just a one-trick pony? Is it just that hyzer backhand, hyzer forehand? Does he have the whole package? And this season, he absolutely is proving that to us, and I think it's very satisfying to watch young players that are as driven like Aaron Gossage coming in here, and we're all hoping that one day he can close out tragic mistake on 18, and hopefully next time he corrects on that. Let's talk about these silver events, Grant. Again, we talk about it every time we have one of these, but just for the people watching a silver event for the first time, they've upped the point totals of the silver events. It used to be 25 points for first place as opposed to 100 for an elite event. We're doubling that to 50. What do you think the effects are here?
Well, obviously, we're going to see a lot more players being choosier about the weeks they choose to take off. I think that players will still choose weeks to take off, but they'll take either fewer of those, or they'll be very strategic about which courses they leave on the calendar and which courses they don't leave on the calendar, probably trying to tailor their schedule even more to the strengths of their game. This is a great example of that. This is a course that's quite unique compared to most of what we see. We're at elevation. As you mentioned, this course is a little bit shorter in terms of its length. It's a lot longer in terms of its vertical length. We're going to be going up and down the equivalent of 23 to 24 stories. Imagine going up and down the stories in perhaps the tallest building in your locale, maybe more than once, in order to get to that degree of steppage up and down this hillside. It's a beautiful piece of land. And a lot of players are going to find that they are either tailor-made to this type of golf, or that they have to make some serious adjustments to their style and their bag.
Well, I agree. I think some players are really going to have to make equipment adjustments. I think it's very important. Again, Portland's elevation is 50 feet, and we jump here to 3,200 feet of elevation. Discs are flying a little bit more stable. If you're a hyzer flip thrower, it's a little bit touchier. So we'll just have to see. It's been a beautiful day out here in Montana. And to talk about the can occurring conditions of the day, we have Nate Perkins down on the ground. Nate, take it away.
Yeah, I would describe it as pretty warm right now. It was 85% humidity this morning. That's dropped to below 50%, but the temperature's up. The sun's back out. It's 78 degrees, and players are definitely busting out their sun umbrellas because it's pretty exposed up here in the mountains. And as you touched on, Brian, the thing I'm really keying in on for this opening round is how players are switching up their bags. I just had the chance to actually watch a bit of James Conrad's round, and he's actually throwing a bit flippier driver than he normally would. Not only do they have to pay attention to the stability of the disc, but here in Missoula, this course plays more downhill and uphill than we see throughout the rest of the season. So that's definitely something I'm going to be keying in today. And the wind has actually died down a bit since this morning. And with the lay of the land out here, with the ponderosa pines all 30 to 50 feet tall, the wind isn't consistent, and some of the players have actually been walking up halfway up the fairway to check what kind of gusts they have down by the green. So thanks for checking in with me, and I'm happy to be down on the crown here at Blue Mountain.
We're going to be checking in with you, Nate Perkins, throughout the course of the afternoon, because one of the unique things about playing in the mountains, you never know what you're going to get 5 or 10 minutes down the road when it comes to changes in the weather. Even a storm passing relatively nearby, even if it doesn't cause a delay or anything like that, can cause significant brief changes to the conditions. Right now, speaking of the conditions, Evan Scott already done for the day. He's been on a little bit of a tear lately, leading the way in the clubhouse at 11 under par. Several others near the top of the leaderboard also already finished for the day, and we've still got players that haven't made their way off of the first tee yet. So a lot of movement expected for this afternoon, and you're going to be here for every second of it. With that being said, got to take a short break and get ourselves prepared for a fast and furious afternoon of disc golf right here on the Disc Golf Network. Be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Team Captain Nate Sexton, welcome to our instructional disc golf series. Maybe even bank over to the right, and that's going to give the putt loft. Slight flex line, so you'll see this come out a little bit higher to give you a variety of different shot shapes. The farthest away player should go first towards the basket.
Pound's the best of the best. It's the quality, the craftsmanship, the vision for what a bag could be. Let's start from the beginning. I didn't choose Pound, I chose Levi. I trusted Levi to make the best bag possible.
He's always trying to innovate. He wants it to be perfect. And I think he's the kind of guy that nothing's ever perfect.
I trust the product. I trust the people behind the product.
At this point, I don't think anyone's disputing that it's the best made bag.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Disc golf education is important because it prolongs the length of our sport and the popularity of our sport, and the most receiving of disc golf is children. So if we get that introduced to them young, they might grow up to be the next Paul McBeth or the next Paige Pierce, and we don't know it.
Welcome back to Blue Mountain. Grant Zellner and Brian Earhart with the second featured card about to go off hole number 1.
First on the tee from St. Louis, Missouri, Nico LaCastro.
.483-foot par 3. You got to just pick a spot in the sky and send a Stahlheiser out there and let it crash.
See if we can find this one. Get past it. Oh yeah, that's it. That's it.
Looked a bit tight. Got to swing it a little bit farther wide.
Colby Anderson.
Several regional players joining us here in Montana. Colby Anderson out of Idaho.
Just didn't quite get the flip on it. Didn't get the fade either.
Dallin Blanchard.
Dallin Blanchard, also Idaho. Stellar.
Urbandale, Iowa. Your 2022 United States champion, Gannon Burr.
I like that a lot more. Put it high and wide, just needs to miss the trees.
Gannon dances that disc to the edge of the 10-meter circle, which here at number 1 is a fantastic result. If you're joining us on YouTube, thanks for joining us today. First round streaming coverage of this Disc Golf Network production brought to you by, well, us, the Disc Golf Network. If you want a chance to watch continuing action of the Zootown Open and future action throughout the season, make sure you subscribe to the Disc Golf Network. Until then, it's a little Friday gift for you. We'll take a moment now while our second feature card approaches their lies. A U-Disc course close-up, Brian.
Well, it's Montana's #1 course, and it's for a good reason. It's just got such a good mixture of challenge and fun for all skill levels. It's a great scenic hike as well as great disc golf course. 8,188 feet, par 59. This is complete change of pace for the players on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, coming from almost all courses over par 60 and 10,000 plus feet. Players are going to have a good time out here. And I think if they just soak that in and they play the course the way it's supposed to be played, it's going to be a fun time. We're also going to see a lot of highlights. So many memorable shots out here on this Blue Mountain property.
I undersold the vertical footage earlier in the broadcast, not taking into account the different tee and pin placements for the MPO field. Another 6 or 7 stories worth of vertical footage even over this morning's rounds as Nico LaCastro approaches on one.
I left himself with a little bit left. About 28 feet to the basket there, and not a par 4 for the MPO division. It was listed as a 4 for the FPO competitors, but Nico's got a little bit of work to save par here.
You're getting your first look at the ground here at Blue Mountain. You'll notice pretty rugged terrain, beautiful nonetheless. Part of a national forest, 2 million acre Lolo National Forest. Puts the kibosh on some of the groundskeeping you might be familiar with at many tour stops, but not to any complaints of players. This is gorgeous land. Just a little bit more rugged than perhaps we're all used to. Kobe Anderson, stress-free par coming his way. Brian, I understand that even rudimentary groundskeeping takes some type of a permit or permission process with the powers that be here at the national park. Mowing, virtually non-existent here at the park, maybe some occasional weed whacking, but that takes a lot of hoops to jump through in order to even accomplish that.
Of course, and Montana's just very particular about protecting their land, especially the federal land. And Gannon
Burr.
Yeah.
Caught the one branch on the ceiling there.
Sometimes you forget what playing a course like this is like. You play so many pristinely manicured courses on the Disc Golf Pro Tour with staff members getting there weeks ahead of time with local clubs and volunteers putting in tons of work. And then you come here and you realize this is kind of where disc golf started.
Dallin Blanchard for the lone birdie on the card.
If you don't know Dallin Blanchard, you will after this weekend. The man has not lost this season. One of the best players in the Northwest. I believe he is currently over 1030 rated or just under, and he's been at that point for quite some time. He is extremely underrated out here.
Nico to save par.
Nico.
Sigh of relief from Nico LaCastro.
Survived the first hole. It sounds like Colby might be a little nervous, Grant. Rightfully so.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, have a great round.
While all this is going on, James Conrad out a bit earlier in the day through 12, 10 down. Eagled the third with a throw-in from distance.
I mean, it's nice to have a 20-footer on one and drop in on two, 200-foot throw-in on three. Not too shabby of a start for James Conrad, but again, James Conrad also has lived in Montana, I believe Missoula more specifically, so he has a lot of history here as well. He mentioned on multiple podcasts, Army brat growing up, and this is just one of the places that he lived for a while. So he's no stranger to this type of golf.
Perfect putting inside the circle. Back down on the ground, hole number 2.
And this is just a fun wooded shot, and it's one of those intentionally designed tee pads. You can't get away with too much of a stock hyzer. You have to throw something neutral, little bit understable. You can't push it too far forward, so you can't throw that flat shot. You need to get something riding left that is destabilizing and flipping as it pushes left to give yourself a decent look at the basket. Sometimes players will just throw something hard and try to jam it in the long grass on the left side, give themselves a 20-30 footer. It's a short hole, but it's a tricky line if you want to get the bullseye.
Blanchard airborne on 2.
Woo! That's it. That's the line, Grant. I think the rest of the card knows what to do now.
Nico a little lower, a little slower, not quite able to make that corner. Anderson overcorrecting.
So this is a shot that Gannon says he's terrible at. I know he's overcritical, but he does say he loves the flat and flex shots, so this is going to challenge him. Well, not too shabby, Grant.
Pretty well done. Playing for the short side of the green is probably the safe and most appropriate play. No need to pin the disc here. You can have a relatively straightforward 20-25 footer here at 2. Another quick look at where things stand. All of our players on our coverage today pursuing many of these. Take a breath. We'll be right back on the Disc Golf Network.
I got 41 feet for Gossage. It's a game of inches. The Portland Open champion, Adam Hannes.
Join the Paul Macbeth Foundation's Builders Club to help bring sustainable disc golf experiences to people and communities around the world. For a small monthly donation, you can help us make a real impact. Your donation will go directly to making a difference. By becoming a monthly subscriber, you'll also receive exclusive updates on our work, special offers, and discounts. So join us today and make a difference with the Paul Macbeth Foundation. Together we can make a big impact, one small donation at a time.
Should have brought some snacks.
I got you.
Ah!
I got you. I got you. I got you.
Oh, Karen, do you know where hole 17 is?
I got you!
Is that a compass? Karen, why do you have this?
Ethan, just help me. We gotta get this set up. Okay. It's getting dark.
My name is Ricky Wysocki. I founded the Saki Bomb Foundation as a nonprofit organization committed to growing the sport of disc golf with America's youth. The foundation's first putt initiative puts 50 discs and 1 portable basket in the hands of PE teachers across the United States at no cost to the school. We've already sent first putt packages to schools in all 50 states with the generous support from our sponsors. If you want to be a part of this movement, visit sakibombfoundation.org. Thank you for growing the sport of disc golf with us.
Second feature card putting out at number 2. Gannon Burr and Dallin Blanchard in for birdies. Castro saves the par. And Anderson unable to get up and down after going awry off the tee. So Anderson carding the unfortunate bogey. Lots of time to make things up. If he's smart, he'll follow Brian's blackinkdisc.com keys to success.
Well, we've talked about it. This is a short course distance-wise, but elevation-wise, it's a hike, and your legs are going to get tired. Your cardio is going to get challenged, and it's hard to throw when you're tired and your legs are sore. So that's a big deal. Someone who's going to be in really good shape is going to have a good chance of taking this down if they play well. And then also, like we talked about, elevation change, making sure that you've dialed in the lines with either a new disc or something that you're currently throwing, adjusting the release angle to make up for the fact that elevation makes the disc fly a little bit more stable, snap out of the flight quicker. And then really, like I said, to some of these guys on the grind on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, this is going to be a very welcome break. Despite it being competition, they get to enjoy this course. It's a par 59. There's not a lot of artificial out of bounds. There's a lot of fun wooded shots. They get to throw mid-ranges off the tee. This is just a fantastic way to kind of cut the fat of all the long, brutal courses that we're starting to see on the tour.
Thanks to blackinkdiscs.com for Brian's keys to success. Second chase card at the tee of 3.
This is a technical, placement-oriented par 4. This opening shot does not need to be that big. Yeah, calling for it to get left because the landing zone is so narrow. He is too far right to attack the tunnel unless he tries some sort of trick shot. Yeah, Gannon's slowing down a bit, but he is right about that. That was definitely a shank, but he's far enough back to where he can attack the tunnel for a birdie look.
Castro forcing one over.
And again, too far right.
Live now, Gannon Burr, his second. You see Amando there off to the right.
Yeah, there
doesn't play a tremendous factor in this hole other than it takes away a shot that maybe a few players might try if they were way offline off the tee.
Well, what you can do is play a giant turnover with a distance driver, and then there's a pretty open spike hyzer to the basket. So this takes away that entire play.
Gannon Burr taking away his play with a second shot that's bad right out of the hand. Missed it to the right off the tee. That one out of the hand to the left.
It's just a very specific hallway that you have to throw down. Now Gannon has to choose between kind of a stand-up hyzer backhand or a turnover forehand. He's taking that same disc, hoping he can make the correction on the first two.
Gets a little bit fortunate there. Pushed it through the other side of the hallway, but managed to continue forward. Now he's inside the circle. Chance to save par.
Noticed he was looking down at his feet. I'm wondering if he was worried about the footing. There is some pretty uneven ground here. This is mountain golf after all, and I think some players are even beefing up the shoes that they're wearing on this course. I know that the trend has been towards more minimalist shoes on a lot of these courses. Colby showing off some snap.
Back to the target, snapping the standstill. He's just outside the 10-meter circle, a chance for the birdie to erase the bogey from the last. Now Nico Lacastro a little bit more pinched off here.
This is going to be tough if he stretches out for this backhand. This is one you almost want to just aim for the edge of the circle short. But then again, this is a major champion we're looking at here.
Not a bad effort considering where Nico was, and should have a straddle there. Looks like about a 45-footer or so coming Nico's way. That for a birdie. Dallin Blanchard.
Yeah, I mean, he got a pretty fortunate kick to stay where he's at. But he got enough distance to where even if he was in the rough, he could throw some sort of tomahawk or something to get up to the basket.
Looks to be preparing to turn over something slow. Sends it out to the left, but based on that branch that was wiggling, to about circle's edge. So Dallin, an opportunity. After today, catch the action remaining here at the Zootown Open on the Disc Golf Network. Make sure you subscribe today. Hit that QR code or visit discgolfnetwork.com. You won't miss any of the action, not only this weekend, but we're hitting a stretch of the season where we're 4 weeks in a row on course. Overhead now looking down at the tee of hole number 1.
2023 Zootown Open. This is your Disc Golf Network feature card. First on the tee, from Hawthorne, Florida, Garrett Gerthy.
This is a previous champion of the tournament, winning back in 2018. Garrett seems to just do well overall in the Northwest.
Venturing much higher than we've seen much of the day.
Next on the tee from Helena, Montana, 5-time Zootown Open champ, Christian Dietrich.
And here we go. Christian Dietrich, one of the best, if not the best, in Montana history, ready to try to take down his 6th Zootown Open title.
Next up from Greenwood, Arkansas, Kevin Jones.
KJ USA.
Let's go. Let's go, baby.
Wow.
Long.
Very long.
Last week's 2023 Portland Open champ, Adam Hammes.
Like I said, this is the style of golf that he loves playing, so see how he does this weekend.
Get in the hole.
And the best of the bunch. Jumping ahead to the third, Nico LaCastro putting. That close.
A good look out of the hand.
Blanchard starting things off 3 for 3.
I'm telling you, Grant, this is the underdog here. I know players who have to play against him regionally don't think of him as that, but he is something to watch out for. Gannon Bird tapping in the par. Tap in for Gannon, at least, not necessarily for you and me, Grant.
Nico LaCastro, 3 pars in a row to start his day. Flight Factory with the overhead views for us this afternoon. You can see as the player's trying to walk, you can see the topography forcing awkward steps either uphill or down.
Well, and while we're watching the players get to their lies, let's throw it down to the man on the ground, Nate Perkins. Nate, it's a pretty beautiful opening hole. The players already having to deal with the elevation walk downhill. What are the players feeling right now?
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky hole, Brian. It's completely blind from the tee pad, and it's not necessarily a problem of distance. It's honestly a problem of getting that nose angle and the stability choice exactly correct. We saw a couple of our players go too deep, which is rare for an opening 500-foot hole, but this hole does descend about 60 feet from the tee to the green, so pretty tricky.
Christian Dietrich. Pretty stock layup there for Christian.
Christian used to live in Missoula. I believe he went to school here, and while he was going to school here, he said he logged sometimes 2 to 3 rounds a day at Blue Mountain. He has tons of experience out here. Like the announcer said, 5-time Zootown Open champion. It's rare to not know who Christian Dietrich is if you play disc golf here in Montana.
Garrett Girthy, strong bid there. We'll settle for the par. Kevin Jones from well behind the basket. Not much to do there, but try to punch through.
It's going to be an annoying lie for Kevin, too. I mean, he has that really low push putt. He's going to have to maybe switch to a spin. There's going to be a lot of brush around these greens out here, so he's got to pay close attention to that.
And Jones still away. Hamas awaiting a chance to putt. Jones saves the par. And now Hamas for the birdie.
Little hitch in the putt there for Adam. You wonder, coming off of a big victory like last week, if he's feeling any jitters on T1 of a silver event. You never know. It really depends player to player.
It does.
And you wouldn't think there'd be nerves here for Christian Dietrich, but missed 20-footer on the first hole.
He reacted like that was nerves a little bit.
I mean, he's been a great player for decades, but, you know, you kind of come up and play with this new class of players, and I'm sure it feels a little strange. Up to 4, Blanchard. Long par 4. Reachable, though. And that looks like it could be close. It's a very specific pushing hyzer left if you want to get to the green. Clip something there. I think holes like this are tough for Gannon because he wants to throw on such a flat swing plane, but you have to get the disc moving much quicker to the left right away.
Like with Garrett Gurthie now at the second. Slightly uphill, par 3.
A bit too far forward, but he got the skip through the brush on the right, and he's going to be putting from about 28. Same as hole 4, you got to get it moving left.
Kevin Jones. Once again, just a little bit too straight.
Yeah, a little bit more hyzer, a little bit higher. That would have been the disc. That's one way to do it, Grant. I suppose you could sneak through the left side. Not too bad.
Would be surprising if that was intentional, but there are some parallel trees in there that sort of allow for some sneaky routes.
Come on. Work for us.
Now, Christian shouted, "Come on," right out of the hand there, almost like he wanted the back door. Interesting. Certainly more local knowledge than most for Christian. Back to Gannon Burr now, his second at the 4th.
And hole number 4, nicknamed Merkwood, might have just merked Gannon Burr out of a birdie opportunity. That's going to be a really tough downhill look for Gannon. And, man, being a spectator on this course, as much of a workout as it's going to be, Grant, just so satisfying to be out there, soaking in the nature, probably dying to be on these tees throwing the shots as well. Jake Hebenheimer on the bag for Kevin. Jake has kind of been pushing Kevin this season. Jake, obviously a huge arm who's worked on his game for a long time, and every time you talk to him on the tour, Jake is just smiles ear to ear, just loving the tour life, and I'm sure for a veteran like Kevin, it's nice to have someone like Jake on the bag.
Gurthie will putt first. Still trying to dial in that lofting circle 2 putt that Garrett is so well known for.
And this stepper from Adam is a newer development. He even admitted it after his victory in Portland that he couldn't stand watching AB and Austin Turner make so many C2 putts with the same style.
Backyard work paying off nicely.
And I really love that he's focusing on anchoring his lead foot, because I think that's the big problem with the step putt these days is 50-50 are foot faults. I mean, they're borderline. They're hard to call, but I can tell Adam's trying really hard to anchor the front foot to try not to give any doubt in his card mates.
Christian Dietrich just outside of the 10-meter circle. We'll call this about 36 feet. Low ceiling. Kevin Jones in for the par. We jump ahead. Long eagle look. Dallin Blanchard just off the mark. Nico on the mark. Birdie at 4. And Burr misses out at the short par 4. Back to the third, flying over. What do you see, Brian?
Well, I see a placement-oriented par 4, and I don't think it's as easy as it looks to stick it. We watched the second feature card really struggle to get their disc in position. You're just trying to throw something up this little hill to the funnel. Right here, we have this tight hallway on the second shot that you want to put something slow through. I think for some players, honestly, if you lean your tee shot to the left side, it gives you a comfortable flex forehand up the gap, which is maybe a little bit more accurate, but it's only 525. It's uphill and your footwork matters a lot, but you just don't want to pull it right. There's a Mando on the right side blocking a classic hyzer line that used to be there, but this is not rocket science. This is just 2 textbook shots.
Ham is with the honors. Oh, an unfortunate roll there.
Yeah, that's going to be really frustrating up and down if he wants to go for it. Garrett slowing down. No.
That's danger.
Yeah, it's just annoyance over there. The hole is just, it's so short as a par 4.
KJ stepping up quickly.
I'm getting word from Nate Perkins on the ground that this is Kev's first look at the course and that Hebenheimer's giving him some help out there. Nate, do you have any insight?
Yeah, I would say it's not the first time that Kevin has shown up blind, but it's pretty cool to see his buddy on the bag with him. I know that Jake is actually one of the players that has kind of, lit the fire in Kevin again. And I know you actually got to see it firsthand last week, Brian, when you watched that practice round. Kevin's at an all-time high right now with his love for the game. It's great to see him. It almost reminds me of 2018 KJ. What do you think, Brian?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, Nate, I will never forget. He was such a firecracker when he came onto the scene, and the passion for the game is what, I think drew everybody to him. And there's been talk so much past couple of years. Oh, has Kevin lost the love for the game? Does he love making music more? What's happening to Kevin? Even this season, he started out so hot, second place in Vegas, fifth place in Waco, and actually had a decent finish after that, but then took a break from Texas States to Music City, and it's been kind of downhill. So it was so nice to see him in Portland rekindling that flame, and I agree with you, Nate.
Dallin Blanchard is 4 for 4 to start the day at the 370-foot par 3 fifth. Good little backstop there. Back with Jones.
Not bad.
Could have a window.
I like the play, trying to go grenade with something a little flippier and trying to get it to maybe hyzer out right. That's a bold move. I think he's got a circle 2 look. But yeah, it's, just going back to what Perkins was saying, it's just weird when you're a professional player in this game. It's your job. It's no longer your hobby. So the love for the game comes and goes, and there's a lot of self-reflection that goes into continuing the motivation to succeed. And Kevin, alongside Adam Hammis right here, have both dealt with it. And they've dealt with burnout, and they're still here grinding away, trying to make it happen.
Hammis, and from where he was, that may be the best result we've seen. Finding a new fairway and making his way to circle's edge.
I really love the design element of a par 4 that kind of funnels to a specific hallway, because then you have the freedom to land where you want, and then it's a choose your own adventure as to what line or type of throw you get to make on your second.
Christian Dietrich pulled that a little bit off into the right-hand rough.
Dietrich is a Yale-educated lawyer who now owns his own law firm in Helena, Montana. I guess he does a little disc golf on the side as well.
Just a bit. Nico LaCastro at the 5th.
Yeah, Nico, it's looking good, dude.
Wow. Almost going deep down the hill on that right side. That's a great shot there for Nico. That's a putt. All right, Grant. This is what we've been hoping for. High panning forehand.
Very creative, straight up and over. Little body English to boot, and steers that disc right down into the middle of the opening. An open look now for birdie. Meanwhile ahead, Nico for birdie. After a slow start, 2 for 2 on 4 and 5.
I want to throw it down actually to Nate Perkins as we have this drone flyover looking over these gorgeous pines. Talk about the trees and the different bits of nature that you get to see out here.
Yeah, this is right at the foothills of the mountain range just west of town. And it's pretty much strictly a ponderosa pine forest. And they're beautiful. They have a tint of orange to them, and they're putting off a really nice smell. They have this like light green moss growing on their branches. And there's not too many super tight gaps, but the forest is dense enough that a lot of these fairways on the front are like 20 to 30 feet across.
Yeah, you get kind of that classic woods golf in the beginning. Little bit of elevation change here and there. But then on that backstretch, we're back into mountain golf. Here's Dallin, go 5 for 5. Mm-hmm. And Grant, you see the pace of his putt. You see the trajectory of it. That's an elite push putt. He's got the full package.
Top notch. Christian Dietrich. No nonsense layup there from Christian. He's been here before, knows when to take his medicine. Kevin Jones. Just offline. Adam Hammes for birdie. Picked up on that. The trees are bothering me today, he said.
Well, I think the trees, the brush, the undergrowth, especially for a player that has that kind of swinging push putt, it's frustrating. Kevin Jones especially. When you have to putt from a low stance, this course is not easy for you.
Garrett Gurthie with another par.
2, 3. Yep. Always down for the same timer.
Jones and Dietrich as well. To the 6th. Dallin.
324 uphill.
Just on it today.
That's going to be 6 for 6 for Dallin. Here's Gannon trying to keep up. Look at this.
Never left the pin. We're flying the 4th now, where our featured car has made their way. 516-foot par 4.
Otherwise known as Mirkwood by the locals, this is just a beautiful wooded disc golf hole. It's a reachable par 4. I like the label of a par 4 here because it's not common to get way up the fairway. You have to kind of sneak a little bit through these trees if you want to access the green. So a lot of times you're kicking, landing in the ravine, you're kicking up on top of a hill, and you have some sort of really creative approach to this sloped green. I believe that it's a pretty fair label. It's playing as the 16th hardest, so the 3rd easiest hole in the course. So it's kind of one of those tweener shots, but man, is it a really nice 2 to get and a very relieving 3. A lot of times the elite players are just going to try to throw something hard and fast down this fairway and see what happens. This is kind of a dice roll if you are trying to get to the green. Wow. As
Pretty
you
good
can
line.
see, Grant, that was the line it needed to be on if you wanted to get the eagle look. And he's going to have a long one, but it's going to be a little bit obstructed.
Right there at the end, collection of trees short of the basket.
A trail walker. Never mind.
Sort of a lucky moment, but if you're able to get, say, 475 of these 516 feet, you can do that on skill and then sort of take what you get at the end.
Exactly. Yeah, you can control maybe 60% of the flight on this one.
Yeah. Be clean.
And to that point, Girthy, pretty similar shot out of the hand. A little less fortunate at the end, will be a little shorter.
Over there on the left side, Kevin is going to have a bunch of random 3 to 4 foot gaps that he's going to have to choose from unless he gets a little lucky and finds an opening. But it's really annoying to be over there.
Christian Dietrich now.
Let's go.
Get lucky, the two that go on. Get lucky. Just get lucky.
Oh.
Wow.
That's it. That's the
all
shot.
the way to the ground.
And you saw he threw it hard on Heiser, but you saw it flipping the entire way, trying to get up to flat as it was sloping down with the fairway. That's perfect.
This has to be the Halal Guy's spicy shot of the day. Yes, it is.
Get lucky, the two that go on.
Oh, that's beautiful, Grant. Just give it to him. Got his rating up to over 1030 at one point in his disc golf career. Won the 2010 Beaver State Fling. A very memorable moment for him. That was when he was playing a lot of disc golf on the tour.
Gannon Burr ahead at the 6th. Pays off a beautiful tee shot with his second birdie of the day. Dallin Blanchard, 6 in a row.
Not too bad. I will say he hasn't aced yet, Grant.
What do you call two turkeys?
I think Terry Miller has the phrasing. I believe he Googled it, but I'm not going to try.
Kevin Jones. A turducken?
We'll go with that, Grant.
It's fun to say. Kevin Jones trying to find a way through. He'll have a look at the basket from there. It won't be a great one.
No, you don't want to kick early left. And here we go to the short hole number 7, 227. Huge slope down to the left. You have to watch your landing here.
Sit down.
Beautiful.
And the streak likely continues for Dallin. And Gannon Burr already trailing by 4 strokes.
Standstill forehand.
Yeah, players really rolling the dice on this one, throwing these overstable discs. I mean, that's very likely to happen if you're coming in on edge like that. And here's Kevin's third.
More open to the basket where he was, but still a very challenging shot there. We'll try to save the par. Double G. Perfectly weighted.
Interested to see how far Adam is from the basket. potentially edge of circle 2 with a little obstruction.
Actually, just a little shorter than I initially thought. So this is a lengthy hyzering putt. Solid bid there. Little roll away off the tee for Gannonburg, leaves 49 feet for birdie at the very short 7th.
That is a birdie that feels like a par. He saved par in that one, Grant. It's averaging well under 3. Second easiest hole in the course. Nice putt there for Gannon. Now Kevin to save par.
There we go.
Confident putt there from Kevin Jones. Remains at even for the round. And now a chance for a big momentum swing for Christian Dietrich. A little shaky, but that's an eagle.
World's ugliest made putt.
And Dietrich is yet another player that has gotten to cross into the Masters division and making it a very scary division to play in these days. Now Nico LaCastro for birdie.
Nice little stretch there for Nico LaCastro. A touchdown for Dallin Blanchard, 7 for 7. And the final card of the day moves on to the 5th.
It's
everyone's still chasing Evan Scott. The hot round so far today at 11. James Conrad stalled out just a little bit.
I got word from Nate Perkins as I was talking about James Conrad and his experience living here in Missoula. Nate informed me that this course, Blue Mountain, is actually the very first disc golf course that James has ever played. Played it for the first time in 1997.
They were moored or an FPO, but they weren't biting like this. They were just kind of flying around.
All the players really dealing with the mosquitoes here in the mountains. We heard about that this morning being a little bit of a problem. Still an annoyance here in the afternoon. The wind not up enough to blow them away. Dietrich now 370 feet from the basket.
Yeah. Come on, get going.
This is a tricky par 3. The whole left side is a complete drop-off down to the fairway of 4. So going up the gut is risky if you are throwing with clockwise spin. One kick and you could be way down there. I believe that was putter from Adam Hammis. Putting for birdie.
Earthy coming off of his first birdie of the day. This is trouble.
Just stabled out too much on him, and he is back down to Mirkwood. It's going to be a tough scramble up to the bucket.
Come on, be stable.
Look at this.
Nicely done, Kevin Jones. Still pursuing that first birdie of the round. Dallin Blanchard at the 8th.
Missed that. Looks amazing, dude.
Okay.
And we'll have that putt left to go 8 for 8. Gannon Burr following up.
That hyzer has to go so high for that to work out. These trees are super tall. Camera does not do them justice. Here's Nico.
It's a 342-foot par 3. Nico Castro, very well done as well, putting about 400 and change power into those shots, trying to get them to fly the 342 up and over. Back with the final feature card of the day on the 5th, where Garrett Gurthey is going to take a walk in the woods.
I want to throw it down to Nate Perkins as we see Garrett Gurthey walking down, pretty much back down the hill to 4. Is it a pretty frustrating lie for Garrett? Can you see?
Yeah, definitely early release with the mid. That's actually the second one that we've seen today that was just, 10 to 15 degrees off. And as far as this lie, it shouldn't be a difficult up and down, but definitely tough to just physically get down there because of how steep the ditch is.
He's got his glidey 1-speed Sonic in his hand.
There we go. Great shot, Garrett. Put it back in your head, too.
Nice little effort there. And quickly up to the top now, Dietrich. That's a layup all the way. Hamas has been a little cold on the greens so far today. No problem there. And Kevin Jones. That's Kevin's first birdie of the round. Garrett Gurthey's bag just disappeared.
Sometimes I wonder if he has trouble finding it.
He set it down and it vanished.
Right when you're stepping up, I was almost about to say, like...
That's remarkable. Oh, there it is. For the birdie on 8, Nico LaCastro. Four out of 5 over his last 5. Now Dallin Blanchard. 8-4-8, Dallin Blanchard.
There's something about having Gannon Burr on your card where some spectacular rounds happen. It's just like Jeremy Colling with the aces.
Mm-hmm.
Gannon was on the 17 undercard with James Conrad at Jonesboro.
Everybody still in pursuit of Evan Scott, but some making a move up the leaderboard and still early in their rounds. Anything can happen. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back at the Zootown Open right here on the Disc Golf Network.
I just got my hands on the Neutron Watt, a great new offering from MVP.
It's really reliable in the sense that you can throw it straight and it holds that straight line, but also even ripping it on Annie, you can get it to kind of gently pan, but it still has that nice glide even if you throw it on any sort of angle. It feels like the most happy hybrid between a putter and a mid, dead straight and neutral, exactly what you want.
Look at it for shots in the woods, ones that need to go dead straight through a gap and then never move and just finish right to the basket. Great approach disc for all types of players. I can't see anybody not loving the Watt.
At the 6th at Blue Mountain, Adam Hammes coming off of a birdie.
The line that it takes to get to this bucket with the forehand is what we saw Jessica Weiss throw this morning. It needs to flip a little bit more in the mid-flight, and it's tough to do at this elevation.
Here we go, let's go.
KJ shows the way. Christian Dietrich now. Really forced that over. Got too much turn. And Girthy, 324 feet from the basket, slightly uphill.
Wow. Weird release. Kind of an early release, but still got the flip. Let's jump ahead to 9. Dallin Blanchard, 9 for 9 attempt here. It's got to get underneath the canopy.
Over there on the hillside, wide open look to the basket. James Conrad gave a couple back during the latter part of his round, a couple of bogeys. Still sitting in a good position for the tournament.
Yeah, James kicking off the basket for ace on 17 and carding the bogey.
Wow.
Unfortunate there for James moving into the final hole. But still 9 under going into 18. Not too bad.
After Dietrich with the no-thought layup, Adam Hammes for birdie. Awkward stance and about 44 feet from the basket. Girthy now for birdie.
Yikes.
Body language suggested that Girthy thought that was in. Jones now, this for 2 in a row. Everyone else a chance to save the par. They've got an adventurous walk to make to get to the next tee pad, so while they do, we'll take a short break ourselves. Right back here on the Disc Golf Network. Don't go in.
Are you sick and tired of browsing through countless online stores for your disc golf equipment only to come up empty-handed? Look no farther. At 1010 Discs, we have a vast selection with pictures of each disc so you can find the exact one you need. We offer a wide variety of top quality brands at affordable prices, including discs, bags, accessories, and much more.
At Discraft, we don't wait to see what the future holds. We build it. The future is in your hands.
Overlooking Blue Mountain in beautiful Missoula, Montana. It's the Zootown Open, and you're watching the Disc Golf Network. Our final featured card making their way up the hillside. This is a very steep property, beautiful to be sure, but a challenge for the legs, no doubt about it. Kevin Jones at the 7th, the short par 3.
This is not a necessary play, Grant. I absolutely love it.
Having fun.
That's Kevin Jones just doing his thing. Wow.
At just 227 feet, you can try to get to this basket any of a number of ways.
I mean,
Hamas to 28 feet.
To me, that's sufficient. Take whatever that overstable approach disc is. Just kind of chip it there with minimal angle.
Dietrich higher and wider. About 28 feet remaining for his birdie putt.
Drop. Please sit.
Oh, Garrett Girthy. The nightmare rollaway here at the 7th. Continuing to matriculate down the hillside. I don't believe it had stopped yet. Meanwhile, Dallin Blanchard. The birdie streak coming to an end at the very challenging par 3 9th. And once again, everybody waiting while Garrett Girthy goes down the hill.
Grant,
this time, more of a factor of bad luck.
On this hole, I mean, number one, he came into the green with driver. He knows the risk, and he knows how weighted the coin toss is. And luckily, he didn't get to roll that far. But I've seen drivers roll out of play, where people can't even find the disc and they choose to rethrow from their previous lie. So that's a fortunate break there for Garrett.
Confident putt from Christian Dietrich. Dietrich to 2 under par for the day. Now Adam Hammes. Downhill attempt of his own. Is that the third inside the circle miss we've seen from Hammes?
Yeah, it's not been a good day in the putting green, and his self-talk right there, can't putt today. It's tough to have self-talk like that, because then eventually you either believe it or you prove yourself wrong. So we'll just have to see how it plays out the rest of the day. But you know, Adam has struggled with some self-talk and kind of snowballing. I actually had a pretty deep, long conversation with him at the World Championships last year in Emporia. And it's just something he's been constantly working on.
Dallin Blanchard, what a scorecard. All good things coming to an end, though. Here's Dallin. Can he keep the momentum going despite the par? To the edge of the circle. Good opportunity, the way Dallin has been putting today. Now Gannon Burr. Unfortunate roll there. Gannon probably can't see the fact that he lost about 12 to 15 feet at the end of that throw. Back to Kevin Jones on the 8th.
And drop.
Yeah, you either want to go super high spike hyzer or a really wide stall hyzer, and that's either way. It's a lot of power into this shorter hole.
Dietrich knew the line wasn't good out of the hand. Hammes now.
Nice, Adam.
I like that a lot. Oh, wow.
Odd result.
A little bit long. I thought that was the one. Guess you need to get more left than that. Okay. Now we know.
Girthy moves that disc much more sharply to the left. To the 10th, Nico LaCastro looking high and right. Burr now. That arm swing of Gannon Burr, so good from the knees. Blanchard. Back on the birdie train. Nico now for the birdie. Erases a bogey that he carded at the 9th. Back with Christian Dietrich, offline off the tee, trying to lay up and save a par.
Yeah, Adam going just a little bit long. Thought he threw it high enough to stall it out, but still just put a huge move on the disc. Not connecting yet again. And on a course where it seems like you kind of have to have your foot on the gas, Adam needs to get something going.
Girthy, another player that needs to get some momentum here. So Jones, another opportunity for a birdie.
Wow.
What an angle.
Nearly lipping out of the basket, but sticking. That's got to raise your heart rate a little bit.
Hammes saves the par. Jones now has passed Adam Hammes, moving his way into the top 20. And we fly over the ninth. Very similar to the first.
Grant, this is my personal favorite hole in the course. 630 feet. You can get there with a mid-range if you have the right one in your bag. You can just blast one off this hill. And the trick to this hole, getting to the green, you have to clear the canopy. These branches of these big pines block anything that's too high coming in. You're going to have to get real lucky if you want to sneak through those and enter the green. So you're throwing downhill. You're trying to get underneath the canopy like the drone's doing here, get a little slide and skip up to the basket. I got to give a shout out to Andrew Marweed, who aced this hole in practice. I can't believe it. It's one of the coolest aces I've ever heard of on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Congrats, Andrew, and we'll see if somebody else can replicate that. That is incredible stuff.
.630 feet.
Oh,
Kevin
my.
Jones. Wide and long.
It's an easy up and down. I don't know how likely the birdie is from there, throwing that line, but I think Dietrich's getting a more textbook here.
Definitely a more traditional line from Christian Dietrich. It's a fine result, leaving a long birdie opportunity. Adam Hammes now.
So this was a dice roll from Adam Hammes. He's trying to throw over the canopy and hopefully plinko down to the green, which is an option if you have the arm for it. I'm interested to see what Garrett tries.
Off the top of that tree. Deflecting down and to the left early.
I want to throw it down to Nate Perkins. Talk about, number one, the tee shot here and the complexity of it, and then also you noticed something with Garrett's throw.
Well, yeah, I have to agree with you, Brian, that hole 9 is one of the nicer holes that we're going to have. 630 feet, descends probably just over 100 feet from tee to green. We just saw 3 different attempts. Kev going with the wide hyzer, tough play in this left to right wind. Garrett and Adam both trying that intermediate look, and we saw Garrett. This was just the 9th tee shot, and that's his 5th early release. So I almost wonder if something's going on with him physically, whether he's a little sore or something, because that tends to happen if you're just not quite getting the timing right. But yeah, hole 9 at Blue Mountain is one of those holes you just never forget once you play it once.
Ahead to the 11th. Dallin Blanchard. 391-foot par 3.
Okay. I think that's going to be close. It's going to be a little obstructed. But that is a look for his 10th birdie. Grant, you know Dallin Blanchard has 5 children, right? What's your excuse?
I didn't know that. I have 3 myself. They are my excuse. Gannon Burr has no excuses. Into the shadow of the basket here at 11.
It is funny, you play with Dallin Blanchard, and then you have someone like Gannon Burr who just eats, sleeps, and breathes disc golf, like we heard Culver Dolan say of him at the OTB Open earlier this year.
Nicola Castro. Again, 391 from the basket. Back to the 9th, Garrett Gurthey is second at the par 3. We'll have a little more work to do. Kevin Jones, an open alleyway to the basket. Hamas laying up.
No one even close to the basket here, just showing how tricky the tee shot is. Christian kind of letting that get away from him a little bit. He's about 25 feet away. Just goes to show you how impressive the 2s were this morning in the FPO division.
Dallin trying to get that disc through the trees there. Will take just his 2nd par of the day.
Do we need to make a graphic that says Dallin Blanchard washed up, Grant?
2 pars and 3 holes. Garrett Gurthey for par here at the challenging 9th. All pars from this final foursome. And they move to the back nine, which has been a bit more challenging than the front nine in terms of scoring opportunities. We've seen a number of hot rounds stall out somewhere in the back nine. Nico, though, 2 for 2 so far after the turn. A birdie for Gannon Burr. And to the 12th. One of the most uphill sub 300-foot holes perhaps on the entire Pro Tour.
Grant, I'm gonna say that Heartbreak Hill here on 12 is the longest feeling 287 feet that you'll play almost anywhere. There's a couple places I can name. Akita's Run, hole 10 in Missouri, which is no longer, easily takes the cake, but this is right up there with it.
Back to 10 with Kevin Jones. The high highs are around the player's right. Now Christian Dietrich, also at the 10th.
Ooh, he sprayed that one. That was sawed off right out of his hand. And this is the easiest hole on the course by quite a bit. That is a failure on Adam's part, and I bet he's feeling it right now. Just a stock 300-foot hyzer.
Eric Girthy to the moon. To the edge of the bullseye. To the 12th again. Nico LaCastro looking up the mountain.
The hole really plays about 4 to 450 feet of power. You're throwing the fastest disc in your bag for the most part, trying to get up here. Nice shot.
Pin high. Back to Hammis, trying to get up and down to save a par. Shouldn't be an issue. Now Jones.
Do it. There it is.
Kevin Jones 5 out of his last 6 in for birdie. One more look.
He loves it.
Hammis saving par.
Again, hole number 10 playing a 2.51. Par is losing half a stroke on the field.
Christian Dietrich moves up 13 positions in the field with that birdie. Nico for birdie at the 12th. And Nico now 3 for 3 on the back nine.
It's a good birdie. It's a really good birdie on this hole.
Blanchard for birdie. Got all the way up to the basket. Perhaps the first shaky putt of the day from Blanchard. Now Burr.
Okay, Gannon is now catching up to Dallin Blanchard with a birdie on 12. Here's Kevin.
Hell yeah. Go in.
Oh!
Draws medal from 391 feet away. Kevin Jones on a bit of a heater right now after a slow start. Dietrich, this looks wide. It is indeed.
This is the famous Grady Shoe hole. If you haven't seen the clip, it was, I believe, on Central Coast 2019. Grady Shoe throws, and I believe the disc stuck in his hand, went sideways, almost behind the tee pad, and he was able to get up and down to save par. One of the greatest disc golf clips I have ever seen. And it was on this very hole.
Girthy in trouble yet again off the tee. Can't get these drives dialed in. Now Adam Hammis. Not quite to the corner.
Definitely have to push this tee shot really far forward before it crashes out. Kevin threw such a solid line there.
One more look at Kevin Jones' tee shot. This is our Sunstein signature play of the day. That close. Thanks to Sunstein for providing our signature play of the day. Sunstein is winning intellectual property. We appreciate their support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Disc Golf Network. Kevin Jones making Nate Perkins laugh. We'll have to find out what that was all about. Meanwhile, Garrett Girthy, a lot of work still to do here. And we'll have that remaining to save a par. Christian Dietrich, well off to the right off the tee pad. A lengthy approach.
If you look at the disc he's throwing right now, I'm going to shout out to all the big disc collectors out there. This is one of the old pearly Champion Classic rocks that are selling for a lot of money right now. Christian collects them and has actually a multiple in his bag right now. So he's got a pretty expensive set of equipment he's carrying right now. And I know that the disc collectors out there really love that run. And Christian, just being around a long time, has accumulated a decent amount of them.
Girthy, a very long par-saving opportunity. Pretty good effort, but it'll be a bogey. little short on the stepper for Hamas. Christian Dietrich now par saving opportunity, challenging one at that.
Dang, I thought that was down. Had a little line.
And now Christian's going to have to really light up the back nine if he wants a decent score after this first round. Moves back down to 2 under par on the front nine. Well, I suppose moving into this back stretch.
Kevin Jones very quietly to the edge of the top 10. He's currently in a tie for 12th. Meanwhile, ahead, Blanchard.
Tough approach here to the basket.
We're on 13 with Blanchard and now Nico. They're second at a par 4, 690 feet. Gannon Burr. Solid approach there from Burr. Alan Blanchard should be able to save the par here at the 13th. At the 12th, Heartbreak Hill, Nate Perkins on the ground with a different perspective.
It says sub 300 on the card, but I think Brian's right. It has to push closer to 440, 450, and Kev going driver a little early out of the hand. He has that 45-footer that he loves so much. Adam going with a little bit flippier of a 12 speed here. Oh, and he kind of tugs on that one. Pushes past the Lake Guardian Pines, and he's 38 feet, nearly pin high.
You sound a little breathless, Perk.
Yeah, this hill is pretty gnarly, Grant. I would say, just 100, maybe 120 feet from the tee to the green. So a little early out of the hand for Christian. Let's see if Garrett can correct on this early release here. Yeah, it looked pretty clean from my book, and it checks up inside the circle. Definitely the longest sub 300-foot hole that we're going to see all year on the Pro Tour.
And really, what I want to ask to the fans as we watch Nico Castro is, what is the most steep hill that you've ever played? Send me a message on Instagram. I mean, Heartbreak Hill here at Blue Mountain is one of the steepest I've played. Akita's Run, hole 10, another one that comes to mind. What hole has blown your mind wherever you play disc golf?
By the way, that's another birdie for Gannon Burr there at the 13th. And he has almost quietly worked his way into the top 5. Started just 1 for 5 in terms of birdie rate on the day. Has come on strong of late. Back now with Christian Dietrich. He's been stuck right around 40th position all afternoon long. Just can't jump ahead. Can't seem to fall back. Just sort of right there hovering.
It is interesting to see how players attack this. Some players just really club down in stability and try to flip something up the hill. I know a lot of times the textbooks will tell you, so to speak, that throw something flippier uphill. That's how you're going to get up there because the nose angle is up. I've also seen players go the other way and try to throw something on a super flex line, almost like they're in a distance competition trying to pull Anheuser on the disc. It's just a tough hole that makes you think about the line you have to throw to even reach this pin. And Adam had done that and snuck through the right side. He's going to have a circle's edge putt, maybe just outside at about 38 feet. Going stepper again. It's tough to get momentum when you're putting uphill like this.
Pulled that just a little bit.
And you listen to Adam just continue to verbally express his frustration. And again, you're walking up this hill, you're tired, especially if you're throwing more shots than you need to throw. It's taxing.
Kevin Jones offline there. Now Girthy, a chance at a birdie. It's been a while since Girthy had a chance to pick one up on his card mates. Gets that to fall. Erases that bogey at 11. Is that 4, Brian? 4 inside the circle?
Yeah, it looks to be that. And that one, I think, was the nail in the coffin. Adam has to take a breath and reset himself right now.
Kevin Jones managing to keep his balance just long enough to avoid the falling putt. And we wrap things up at the 12th, where your reward is to walk further up the hill before you tee off on the 13th. Meanwhile, ahead at 14, Gannon Burr. Airborne at the 705-foot par 4.
That will work. Really, on this hole, the Ponderosa Pines are the big obstacle, and if you're not behind them, you have an open look to the basket. Now Dallin.
Dallin Blanchard, a late tree. Didn't look like it went into the heart of it, though.
He might even have an approach from there.
We're going to jump back and fly the 13th, where the final feature car of the day is getting ready to tee off.
So this used to be a par 3, and really where the drone is flying is the line that your mid-range or putter would fly on, and it would dogleg right to the basket. Not that long, but now we've stretched it out to a 690-foot par 4. And there's a few different lines. You can just throw straight and low and try to throw a screamer down this fairway. There's the FPO basket off to the left side. You can also go high over the pines and try to blast something out to the right side in the open, and then you have a look to the basket here. I mean, if you can get to the open on the right off the tee, you are looking very pretty, but it's not necessarily that easy to access that. So we'll see how the players attack this hole. We're going to see a couple different options here.
Garrett Gurthie putting everything into this one.
And that's another early release.
Right
He's
into
had
the
a
top of
tough
that tree.
time. Just hasn't gotten the disc to the hip point. Seems like the hips are moving faster than the upper body.
Kevin Jones putting a little shape on that. One branch away from what might have been perfection. Now Jones will be very obstructed for his second. Dietrich with an opportunity to try to break into the top 30 here.
Here we go.
Okay. That's going to be something there for Christian. Adam has to commit to this angle. He has to get the disc out and in front of him to commit to complete this flex. No. Nope. Drop the elbow on that one. Straight
Fortunate
nose up.
there. Fortunate there to have that disc angle up the way it did so that it would just sort of flutter down in open space. That could have gone well offline to the left. Ahead to Blanchard at 14. Hits that branch right there with his hand at the hip point.
That was just the disc.
Oh, good news. Just the disc hit the branch as it came out of his hand. I was worried for a moment. Thought that might have been a little bit dangerous.
Well, there's some players that have no problem with that happening, at least until it happens. And then there's some players that'll never put themselves in even a risky situation for their hand to hit the tree.
Count me in category 2 there. I am a terrible patient.
I will throw the most annoying forehand ever if it saves me from hitting my hand with a backhand.
Again, and Burr into the top of the tree there. Did that disc stay?
Yeah, I don't know if it did. 2 meter rule is not in effect here in Montana. He'll just mark at the bottom of the tree.
Yeah, he'll have to take his stance in the middle of that tree. Garrett Gurthie now all downhill from here.
Has a lane.
Nice, Garrett. Great pressure. There, yeah. Shouldn't be here.
It's a solid A effort. I know I was kidding about the bag before. That's an odd. It's an odd bag.
Yeah, I really don't know what brand that is or if it's a disc golf specific bag, but it suits him.
No argument from me there.
And here we go for Kevin, looking up.
Caught something right out of the hand there.
We just got word from Nate Perkins. We do know what the bag is, and it's not a disc golf bag. Nate Perkins, can you please enlighten us on what Garrett Gurthie is carrying his discs in?
Yeah, I was talking with Garrett's good friend and caddy, Pete Johnson, who said that it was a duck hunting bag. And that's exactly why he's not... carrying it, because it's far too heavy and has a seat on the back of it.
Fortunate there to have that disc That's the least surprised I have ever been from an answer that came right out of left field.
Well, you know what? I think Adam Hammis is probably a little jealous, Adam being a duck hunter himself. Trying to get aggressive over the pines, and now he's in a terrible position. This hole is wreaking havoc on the card. And finally, we get to Dietrich.
And Dietrich liked this out of the hand. Local knowledge told him that anywhere up and on the right was okay. Really pulling that to the right again and counting on gravity to pull the disc back to the left. Not happy with the result, but certainly the best positioned amongst his card mates. Nico ahead now, his second. This is the 705-foot par 4.
It went. It certainly went, Grant. What a shot.
And quickly back to Adam Hammis, the forehand roller. Pretty good there.
I mean, it was good enough. It was a very frustrating lie. Up to 14, Dallin Blanchard.
Took a little off of that. Spikes it straight in, following Nico's line. And Gannon Burr. Can't get out of the tree unscathed.
Kevin
Jones
holding a grenade grip. What is he?
I think the red one actually, PA4, just so I can hit hyzer, get more cruise. Yeah, it's not very far, so yeah.
Okay, he's not throwing a grenade. Okay.
Pin high, inside the circle. Over to 14 now with Gannon Burr. Back to 13 with Hammis. Both of our featured cards struggling through this section of their opening round. Dietrich's third. And now Girthy. Well, you've got to like the pace of play.
The course plays great. I mean, again, it's not one of these extremely treacherous holes where players are throwing into water, having to rethrow. It moves pretty quickly despite the up and down hikes that you have to make.
Girthy around the outside. Yeah, players able to sort of move to their lie without feeling like they're getting in front of their card mates. So everyone a little bit more ready to throw. That's not the case on a lot of the courses in my particular area with sort of one gap that everyone's got to go through, and then you've got to wait for everybody to make their way through it. Here, things in some cases sort of fan out a little bit. Not a bad thing to think about if you're laying out a course.
Well, Grant, I I have to say, the new Nightmare 18 is starting to form in my head. I'm getting a lot of messages from players saying what the steepest hole that they've had to play is, and it would be a rough course. That's for sure. I'm seeing hole 2 at Crystal Mountain Ski Resort, hole 15 Rosedale in Kansas City, hole 7 Slippery Rock. That would be a horrifically unfun round of disc golf. That's for sure.
Girthy for par. Yeah, those ski resort disc golf courses, there's something else. Colby Anderson on the 14th.
Yes.
Haven't said Colby Anderson's name very much today. He's managed to work his way back to red figures. Blanchard saves the par. Once again, though, Brian, interesting note, Blanchard hot through the first 10 and now 4 pars in a row.
Yeah, I think the same sentiment for this MPO division as the FPO division. If you score hot in this back 9, I think it's going to set you apart from the rest of the pack. Much tougher to score on.
Nico LaCastro being a good steward of his sponsor, and we see Evan Scott, who was already finished when we came on the air, still out in front. Surprised at that?
Not when you put 100% from C1 and 75 from C2. Evan has been on fire on the putting green, and he's always been a great thrower. He's from the East Coast, so woods golf like this does not really faze him too much. Not surprised. Just another young talent.
If you go back and look at some of Evan Scott's results after turning pro, you'll see a lot of events where he had, say, one round that was really good and then other rounds that were so-so at best. Getting experience. He's still a very young player and beginning to put multiple rounds in a row together now. Nico LaCastro way offline.
Elevation kind of taking that disc, just snapping it out of its flight too early. And here we go to hole number 14. Relatively flat ground here. This is all about placement on the tee shot.
Playing the same tee pad as the FPO division, so both divisions essentially aiming for the same gap and a pretty similar placement.
Yeah, just a bit deeper of a basket for the MPO. And I think that's a rightful change. I think this one scored well for the FPO division as well.
G, you got a 4. Christian 4. Dev 4 and 5.
See, you planned it correctly because I forget with the Elite series and then this one, that was the one to really play really good golf.
Yeah. I'm still on a high. It's like whatever happens here happens.
Garrett Girthy will throw first. You'll see a tree more or less in the center of your frame, slightly to the left. And Garrett hits the tree to the right instead, never even makes it to the tree I was trying to reference. It's something of an aiming point, yet you don't want to end up in it. Just to the right or just to the left of it is okay. Try to get a beat on it for you here. Kevin Jones also will be short.
He's short, but he still has a look at the basket. He still maybe has about 4 to 450 left. But it's better to be short and in the middle than pinched off to one of the sides.
Whoop. You need to get a little lucky there. Screw that guy.
Dietrich up the hillside to the left.
Dietrich has one of the closest throwing forms to Barry Schultz that I've ever seen. And it's so interesting to watch.
Hammes, this is a line I haven't seen today.
Anger smash. Yep.
That's fantastic.
And there's a smile from Adam Hammes. He said he's still riding the high from last week. Whatever happens here happens. Up ahead to 15, Dallin Blanchard, 427, par 3.
A little too much turn there for Dallin. Burr from the tee pad.
Just a long panning turnover.
And Gannenberg goes long here at the 15th.
Want to throw it down to Nate Perkins. Nate, on the 14th, not a lot of danger except for the pines, but they seem really well placed. Can you attest to that?
Yeah, this tee shot's pretty demanding in the specific place that you're trying to land in between those ponderosas, but we talked about this in the FPO broadcast that the difficulty here really is the footing. You don't know if you're going to land in a little tuft of grass or there's going to be a little hole, and as you mentioned, Brian, you're not actually allowed to mow out here, so there's all this tall grass right off the center of the fairway. So footing is the most difficult part of this hole, I would say.
Just watch Kevin Jones smash a hyzer with the tough footing, and he's going to be circle's edge. Now LeCastro on 15. Second shot.
I'm right here again.
Chance to save par. Those ropes are not OB ropes. Soft little approach from Dallin Blanchard, and now we're back with Garrett Gurthie at the 14th. Pretty open look from here, actually, for Garrett Gurthie.
Yeah, snuck through the pines, so he's in a pretty favorable spot now.
Late disc change?
Little bit. And a good disc change. It was 20, 25 feet away from the basket for birdie for Garrett. And back goes the duck hunting bag on Garrett's back.
I would lose that bag. I would be 10 feet away from it. I would set it down, and I would never find it again. Gannon Burr. Solid putt from Burr, erasing the bogey at the 14th, back to 8 under par.
Outside or just inside? What do you guys think?
Beautiful overhead views today from our friends at Flight Factory. Difficult sometimes to see gaps with all the layers of trees when you're at ground level. This showing you the alleyways. And even the disc flight, just like that one, inside the circle. Great shot from Christian Dietrich. Has a birdie opportunity now, a chance to move perhaps into the top 30. Adam Hammes after that beautiful tee shot.
And that's going to be right under the basket, really about 10, 15 feet away for birdie for Adam. Clocked at 540 off the tee. Center cut down the fairway, not too shabby for Adam, and hopefully some late momentum.
Players now making their way to the area around the basket here at the 14th. Kevin Jones first to putt this for birdie at the par 4. Good effort there from Jones. And Dietrich to 3 under par. All the way up to a tie for 24th for Christian Dietrich. Now Garrett Gurthie.
Such a solid second shot, too, just to not capitalize. That doesn't feel good. And same thing here with Adam. He's got to capitalize on such a nice drive.
Needs this. He's fallen all the way back to 1 under. And that stops the bleeding after 2 bogeys in a row. Cardmates putting out, that is, here at the 14th. Just a few holes to go on the day. Take a final break here and be right back on the Disc Golf Network.
All the scoring that we do in our sport now is all digital. Having some sort of backup power source is going to be really important. You feel that it's good quality product. And having a stash pack that holds the cable that connects to any device, it just works. And so that's why this thing really works for me.
Disc, located in Grand Rapids, Michigan, is a fully stocked retail disc golf store that fulfills all of your disc golf needs. We carry all of the major manufacturers, accessories, and offer player and event sponsorship, along with tournament payout assistance. To learn more about Great Lakes Disc, visit greatlakesdisc.com.
The quality of our gear runs deeper than the stitching. That's why we make everything right here in the U.S., employing highly skilled, well-paid professionals. From bomb-proof Cordura fabric to YKK zippers and recycled plastics, we source the highest quality U.S. materials to make the most comfortable, durable pack in disc golf. Our lifetime warranty stays with the pack, not the purchaser. So regardless of how you find us, we will be here to make sure your pack stays on the course and out of the landfill. Pound's integrity is held together with more than just thread.
Entering the home stretch at Blue Mountain, Kevin Jones on the 15th.
Yeah. Let's go. Oh, look at this. Come on. That was so good.
One of the best tee shots we've seen all day long at the 15th.
Well, that's what's so challenging about this shot. It's 427. It's a long turnover, but if it checks up at all, you are sailing downhill with the slope.
This is Christian Dietrich. Too far inside there. Fortunate tree kick, though. Sends Christian forward, where at least he'll have an open look at the basket. Looking at Adam Hammis, a recreation of his tee shot at the last would work out nicely here.
I'm not sure if it has enough turn.
Stalling out and going.
It's just
Off to the
hard.
right.
It's just hard to have a disc hold turn for 427 feet when the fairway's sloping down to the left with the checkup. So really nicely placed tee pad to force the players to do something technical. Looks like Garrett's going to try to ignore all of that.
Garrett looking at a line that he may be the only player to throw all weekend long.
Oh, he got it. He pulled it off.
Got away with one, I think, there. Rolling back the Zuka replay of this KJ USA tee shot.
Shot so much. Got it to flatten just softly at the end. Almost dropped the ace. It pretty much holds the turn for about 95% of the flight, and at the last second, he got it to check up. That's so solid from Kevin Jones, and he loved it.
Once again, Fly Factory providing us with these overhead shots here at Blue Mountain, giving you a great vantage point of the challenges here. Christian Dietrich first to his lie. Could be pretty aggressive here with the uphill nature of the hole. Girthy seems to be waiting. Indeed, Hammis will be next. And now Girthy.
His straddle jumper is so interesting. His lead foot is his right, same as the hand he's putting with.
Unique style.
Just kind of throws you off a bit. You're used to seeing the players step with their left. But I suppose the jumper is a little bit different animal. Now this is Kevin Jones to go 8 under par.
Pays off that spectacular tee shot. Kevin Jones in a tie for 5th at the moment. Final grouping moving on to the 16th. So we jump ahead to Gannon Burr.
How is that flipping? How's that possible?
Sounds to me like Gannon has defied physics in his mind. But again, it is weird. You know, you're throwing these types of shots at this elevation for not that long. They're still learning the shapes the discs fly up here.
Nico a little short here at the long downhill par 3, measuring 573 feet. Now we jump back to 16. The par 3 at 374.
Huge hyzer. Yeah, that's about 400 feet. Pure hyzer, not too bad. Really, this is a hole you can go mid-range on because of the downslope.
Indeed, yeah, to circle's edge on the backside. Now Dietrich. Hamas.
I like the idea of what he was trying to do. He kind of curled up and shortened up his whole stroke to kind of pretend like he was throwing a putter, but he did have the fairway driver in his hand. Just didn't quite get the turn on it he wanted.
Girthy. And again, Girthy off the top of one of these tall conifers. One of only a handful of players in the whole field that could probably get a tree kick from that high off the ground. Ahead to the 17th. Dallin Blanchard. And that won't flip. A few moments ago, Ty Love joined Evan Scott at the top of the leaderboard with an incredible back 9, 8 out of 9.
That is fantastic shooting, and I mean, he missed 15, which is a really challenging par 3, got everything else. Great stuff there from Ty.
I love tops and birdie rate, as you might expect. Great from circle 1, perfect in fact. Top 10 hitting both circles in regulation. To Adam Hammis now. Should be a stress-free par from there. Now Girthy already laying up at the par 3.
Dietrich from mid-circle 2, looking at a birdie after a pretty solid drive, just leaking it a bit far left. Maybe a little bit closer to 45-50.
I need to move.
One more opportunity to try to card a birdie here for this foursome. Kevin Jones, a little bit awkward back there in that tree.
This is to go to 9 under, tying Dallin Blanchard.
Not quite enough on that one from Kevin Jones, so no birdies on the card here at the 16th. Ahead on the 17th, Dallin Blanchard, his second at the long downhill par 3. Gannon already ready. Catches a late tree. Here is the 17th from overhead.
I mean, this is just another one of those shots, just like hole 9. You get to let it rip off of a hill with tons of elevation loss. 573 feet. You're going to have to blast a distance driver or a controlled driver if you're one of the top distance throwers. And you just get to watch the disc fly. I mean, there's nothing else to it. I mean, if the wind is picking up, you have a lot more work to do in regards to lining up your shot, but there is a lot of airspace to throw. And you can go power hyzer, you can kind of rip something hard and let it glide to the basket. You can throw a flex shot. There's almost endless possibilities. Unless you're a lefty or throwing forehand, then you have these two giant pine trees on the left side blocking your entry. But this is just an empty your bag type of hole, Grant.
Dallin Blanchard to save par. Preserves the clean scorecard. Dallin, though, a day of streaks. 8 birdies in a row to start. Now 7 pars in a row as he comes down the home stretch. Kobe Anderson, even par for the day. Nico LaCastro at the edge of the top 10. And now back at the tee, Kevin Jones.
Look at how wide he is planning to throw this.
Well out to the right. Now needs this to swing.
going to be about circle 2. Just not quite tight enough.
Christian Dietrich also looking out to the right, not as far, and this is going to swing too far to the left now. So Adam Hammis. Gets that disc flat.
Oh yeah, that's circle 1, putting for birdie for Adam. Snuck through that backside. Impressive that he got that distance driver up to flat. That must be something pretty understable or worked in.
Overhead looking down at Garrett Gurthie. Catches a little low hollow there. Keeps the disc from skipping up closer to the basket. So 3 players that we've been watching today, all with a chance at being part of our coverage tomorrow here on the Disc Golf Network. Almost certainly Evan Scott, Ty Love, and James Conrad will be new to the coverage tomorrow. Gannon Burr off the tee at 18.
Yeah, that's solid.
Nicola Castro now. You'll see signage and a low rock wall. Players need to be short of that and moving to the left.
Yeah, there's a couple tight landing zones, and if you want the 3 look, you have to push it more left than you're comfortable with, and you need to bite off quite a bit of distance.
Blanchard needs this to move to the left. And it does, just in the nick of time. Now Colby Anderson. Center cut. Back at 17, Garrett Gurthie will throw first, hoping to get up and down and save the par. Christian Dietrich. Kevin Jones just long of the 10-meter circle, putting back uphill. Big time putt from Kevin Jones moves Kevin to 9 under par on the day. And now Adam Hammes for a birdie. Matches Kevin Jones. As the last featured card of the day moves to the 18th. We look down at the property here at Blue Mountain, where Nate Perkins has been following these groups throughout the afternoon. Nate, before we let you go for the day, your assessments of what you've seen in terms of these players tackling the elevation and the lay of the land.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a treat to be out here. I think that Blue Mountain kind of holds on to, old school style disc golf. It's not too terribly long. It's technical. And I've always said this, but I feel like disc golf is best served downhill. So these big, beautiful downhill bombs like we just saw on 17 are just such a treat to watch. And I got to walk and hang out with the card for a little bit. I talked to Christian, who I hadn't seen in a few years. He said that he was definitely feeling nervy, but kind of felt like those nerves washed off during the back nine. And then, of course, what a treat to get to watch Kev Jones. He's just playing so free right now, and you can tell he's just really having fun. And he cashes another circle 2 putt there on 17, and he actually has a chance to make the lead card even after a slow start. So been a great day, and you guys sound great in the booth, Grant and Brian, so I'll be joining you tomorrow.
Thanks once again to Nate Perkins. Lots of great insights there on the ground. And on the ground, Gannon Burr, his second at the par 4 18th, going out over the OB. Didn't like it, but that is in tight.
And this used to be called a par 5 a while back. But I think these days, with how powerful these players are, and you see how easy Gannon was able to throw that hyzer on the right side, I think par 4 is a pretty accurate assessment here. Now Dallin doing the same thing as Gannon. Second shot.
Gets up to the top of the hill. Nico Lacastro did go out of bounds on his tee shot. Pushed that tee shot too far. So needs to get up and down to save a par.
Oh my God. Go left.
And Nico didn't like that out of his hand any better than Gannon Burr did, but both results are just fine.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that the basket's completely blind when you're throwing that shot. Let's take a closer look, actually, on hole number 18. I've played this hole numerous times, and it's tricky. There's a lot of different places to land, and wherever you land, the whole play is a lot different. So if you challenge this OB down the right side, then yes, you have the opportunity of throwing a stock hyzer up the hill and just making sure your depth perception is right to attack the basket. Otherwise, if you land a little bit too far left, you're going to have to go this middle gap where the drone is flying, and it's much tougher to gauge the distance and get that second shot up by the basket. These pine trees are very well placed, and they serve as kind of natural bunkers. If you land behind one, there's really not a lot you can do. You're going to have to pitch to a more favorable spot to then get up and down to save that par. And I actually have a funny story. I played with Garrett Gerthy on this very hole a few years back. And one of the coolest things I've ever seen on his second shot, it was pouring rain. He pulls a mid-range out of his bag, doesn't even dry it off, and puts it right under the basket for an easy 3 on the hole.
Kevin Jones right to the middle of the open space off the tee pad here at the 18th. Looking to put the finishing touches on a very solid round. Adam Hammes, this will move left.
That's okay. I think he's going to have a hyzer if he wants it. It's going to be a risky one.
Christian Dietrich. A lot of angle.
Yeah, Christian's just fine with playing it safe, putting it in play. 4 is totally fine.
And Garrett Gerthy. Kevin Jones started off slow today and then really worked his way into form.
I mean, just like Nate Perkins said, there's an energy coming off of him right now. He seems a lot more focused. You see it on the putting green when he's making these 30-foot comebackers. He's hitting these big birdie putts from circle 2. And he's getting creative. He's doing what he does, and he's doing it well. And then you see this beautiful shot on 5. Slow-moving mid-range, right into circle 1. Power looked good. Even the trick shots look good coming out of his hand. I mean, it was a good day for Kevin out there on the disc golf course.
Several circle 2 makes on the day for Kevin Jones. Here's the 12th, straight up the hillside.
He just looked good. He looked under control. He looked focused. He looked engaged. Again, having Jake Hebenheimer on the bag is always great for him. One of his travel partners. I saw them practicing in the offseason in Charlotte together.
Moments ago at 17, the long birdie. Good looking stats from Kevin Jones. Meanwhile, Christian Dietrich challenging the OB and just safe. The OB up there around the basket, right on the edge of the 10-meter circle. Adam Hammes now. Quite a bit left off the tee pad.
He's got to get this one high if he wants to get back left.
Hammes a little long of the basket. Now Garrett Gerthy.
That's it. Get in it.
And Garrett with that putt, a chance to move into the top 25.
You really wonder if somebody like a Kevin Jones, if he can birdie this hole, if he can keep double-digit rounds going all weekend. It seems like a tall order.
I almost want to just throw a grenade.
I like that.
Listen to the coaching from the caddy. I like the grenade left side. Keep it in play the whole way.
Oh boy. You're crazy,
Where are you
bro.
going, bro?
Positive reaction from the gallery.
Like, that driver is not that overstable. You're seeing it flip out of his hand and begin hyzering out. That is essentially him throwing a lefty spike hyzer. That is such a cool shot.
So everybody on the dance floor here at the 18th.
And you just get to see now just how tight that green is on that right side. And there's not that many good reference points when you're throwing that hyzer. It's a lot of trust. So I kind of understand and I like Kevin's idea of just throwing that lefty hyzer equivalent on the left side with the grenade. It's just not many players in the world able to do that.
Well, we've got four putts in the circle coming, and two of them on the release, the player reacted as though they didn't like the shot. Little deception here on the 18th. Christian Dietrich for a closing birdie. To Adam Hammes now to move into the top 20. Solid finish for Adam Hammes. Kevin Jones to go to 10 under par for the day. And now Garrett Gurthie to move into the top 30. Good putt there. Only real disappointment on Kevin Jones's day is the fact that that missed putt will keep him off the lead card for tomorrow, but Kevin solidly in the hunt. And we will still get a chance to watch Kevin Jones tomorrow. Gannon Burr as well will be part of tomorrow's coverage. Few new names, though, including Evan Scott, Ty Love. Dallin Blanchard will be part of coverage yet again tomorrow. Good stuff today, Brian Earhart. Lots and lots of great discs in flight. A lot of downhill shots that are just a treat to get to watch these players throw. Plus some technical lines and some really challenging holes that a lot of people in different parts of the country don't get to see very often and certainly don't get to play.
Well, what I think is really cool about this course and what I was noticing is how much trouble these Ponderosa Pines are giving the players. and serving as wonderful, I guess, natural out of bounds, you could say. The moment you land behind one of them or in one of them, it's like you've just gone out of bounds, and it framed up a lot of these holes so nicely and made them play a lot tougher than you'd think. For the course being 8,100 feet and a par 59, to have the hot score be 11 under par, that's pretty good. And I like the way this course is playing and scoring. And I'm interested to see if these players like Kevin Jones, who's really just seeing this course for the first time, interested to see how he makes adjustments moving forward, essentially.
Well, we'll have more here from Missoula right after this break. It's the OTB After Show, so don't go anywhere.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
Repetitive stress injuries are one of the most common reasons that disc golfers have to take time off from playing the sport they love. With the average disc golf bag weighing up to 25 pounds, this can add up to over 2,000 pounds of accumulated stress on your body during a single round. A cart gives you the ability to bring what you need on the course without the repetitive heavy lifting. This reduces the number of stress points you experience during a round, keeping you at your best.
One of my favorite memories growing up was a trip I took with my dad to Hawaii. We just got done with a round of disc golf and decided to listen to the Grateful Dead. Without saying anything, we both knew we needed to dance, and that's exactly what we did. Sometimes you just need to stop and enjoy the music.
How is your putter release so powerful even as far out as 50 feet? A lot of the power on my putt is generated from like a little finger pop / wrist action at the very end. Hold a disc in your hand even when you're sitting down on a couch. You can kind of just pop it up. Try to like pop the disc vertical. Do this and just slowly practice getting it higher, and you're just really trying to use your wrist, not really your arm. That's how I do it, and that's a tip to how you can do it too.
I got 41 feet for Gossage.
It's a game of inches. The Portland Open champion, Adam Hammis.
Beautiful day today in Missoula, Montana, the first day of the 2023 Zootown Open, presented by Ink Realty Group and driven by Innova. Evan Scott leading the way. And I'm really excited tomorrow, Brian, about the chance for the world to get to know Evan Scott just a little bit better. He's a former amateur world champion. If I'm not mistaken, still a teenager, has been on tour now for a little more than a year, turned pro right after that world championship, if I'm not mistaken. And Evan is a quality player that's beginning to come into his own. Not surprised to see him at the top of the leaderboard. So that's going to be a treat, at least for me tomorrow.
I mean, it's a story of two young players leading the field. Ty Love tied with him as well at 11 under par. Just another fantastic young talent. And that's been the theme of the entire season. It's just all of this talent is popping out of the woodwork, and maybe players that we knew were talented are starting to finally prove to us how good they really are, not just how talented they are. It's one thing to be physically talented. It's another thing to actually use it to score well out here on some of these Pro Tour courses. I'm just excited to see the players get more comfortable with some of these holes. Blue Mountain is just such an enjoyable place to play. And it's one of those places where you could play around there every day. We hear stories of James Conrad, Kristen Dietrich actually going and playing that course every day. And to have a tournament there is really special. And I think the one thing that I'm noticing is players like Gannon Burr and Kevin Jones shooting 9 under par, but they go 1 under through the first 5 holes of the course. They go completely dry to start the round, and a lot of the scoring happens there. So if they can clean that up, their back nines have been fantastic, and I think that's where the big scoring is going to happen. But the person who pulls away is going to start hot and then finish with a really solid back nine. It seems simple, but at the same time, clearly it's not.
Yeah, so many players today, the story of 2 nines, either really good on the front 9 and then sort of losing a bit of steam, or slow starts and then really hot toward the center points and end points of their round. So you're right. I think that if any one player can put together a complete round, perhaps going 12, 13, 14 under par wouldn't be unheard of. I don't know that you could do it on back-to-back days, but doing that at least once will surely vault you up the leaderboard or well out into control of this 3-day tournament. We're going to get a chance to see some of the great shots that made this such a wonderful afternoon in Western Montana when we get a chance to look at the OTB shot of the day. Kevin Jones. Off the basket at the 11th. Multiple looks. Brian, the only way it gets better than that is if that skip had floated about 6 inches higher than it did. High fives from the card. Kevin Jones back on coverage tomorrow. First, the FPO round in the morning, 9:30 a.m. local time for these players. That's Mountain Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And then the MPO moving day round kicks off at 3 locally, 5 Eastern, right here on the Disc Golf Network. And one more time, if you joined us today on YouTube, make sure you head over to discgolfnetwork.com and join up so that you won't miss a second of the action, not only at this DGPT Silver event, but at all of the events for the remainder of the 2023 calendar year. That's a wrap for day number 1 from Missoula, Montana. The Zootown Open returns tomorrow, so why don't you do the same? For Brian Earhart, Grant Zellner, see you tomorrow in Montana.